What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Country Investor. My name is Robert, if this is your first time tuning in. So what we're going to be talking about today is we're just going to be discussing recession, things about the recession. Before we get into it though, I want to quickly ask you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on this video. And definitely leave a comment. It definitely helps out with algorithm as far as YouTube goes. Also, I do have some courses on fitness, investing, and DIY projects if you're interested in that kind of stuff. I just started all these things, so definitely check them out. I'll leave them down below. They consist of Skillshare, Udemy, and Teachable, so definitely check them out. And I will leave links also for SoFi. I'm also opened up a new account with SoFi. I actually really love it so far. Definitely not sponsored, but I will leave it down below for anyone who is interested in SoFi. I think they're great, so I've been moving all my money over to SoFi. Also, really quickly, for anyone who is interested, I do have a little small Airbnb business that I will leave down below as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that and how the recession is affecting that in this video as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. We'll go into a definition quickly as well. What is a recession? Again, they have changed the definition, but we're going to stick to what the original definition was. Basically, it's a decline in GDP for 2 consecutive quarters. What does that mean? Basically, the economy has slowed down. People are not purchasing products, and the amount of money people are spending isn't continuously gradually going up. It's actually gradually going down. So that's what it means, basically. So the 4 main topics we're going to be discussing in this video are: should you be investing currently? How long will this recession last? How will this impact things moving forward? And 4, what can I do to sustain my current lifestyle during a recession? Okay, so now we're going to dive into, should you be investing during this time? So I asked multiple people, a lot of friends, I've asked my family, what do you think about investing right now? And honestly, most of the answers I have gotten is no. Or most of the answers I've received, not gotten, most of the answers I've received has been no. And I was like, why not? And they're like, oh, because everything is down. Well, actually, that's actually the reverse thought process you should have during this time. I'm sure everyone's heard the Warren Buffett phrase, be greedy when others are fearful, be fearful when others are greedy. Well, that kind of applies at this time. The way you should think about it is everything is on sale. So everything is obviously low, everything has dropped, significantly. Think of it as you walk into a Walmart and now all of a sudden, things are usually $198. Usually mark everything in 98s, right? So $198, right? And then today they have a clearance or a rollback for $128. You're going to pick it up, right? Whatever, if it's something you've been eyeing, you're more likely going to pick it up. Well, the same thing goes for stocks. If it's been at, say, Tesla's, I think at 800 and something right now, if it's at 8 something and you see it drop down to 600 and something, assuming there isn't some crazy catalyst like some fraud or some type of legal reasoning behind it, that's a good opportunity to buy in. In this case, it's a recession that's driving a lot of the prices, a lot of the markets down. So think of it like that. It's a sell for the stock market. It's a sell for the crypto market. I don't think crypto is going to be going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think, most of these companies are going to be going away anytime soon. The blue chip companies, not, penny stocks, but a lot of these bigger companies aren't going away. Again, if it's nothing legally or any crazy serious issue with the company itself. If it's recession related, more than likely they're not going anywhere. So that's a good time, a good opportunity to be buying. Everything's on sale. Pick up what you've been eyeing and go ahead and start investing. So it's been researched over and over again. You can also look back yourself. Most of the profits your biggest profits will come during times of recession. So if you start putting your money in now, 5 years from now, most studies have shown that those are when the biggest profits are made because things are starting, they've come down, now they're going to go back up. That's usually what happens when you start investing in a time like this. It's been proven that over the next 5 years after a recession is when most of the profits are made. Okay, so question number 2. Most of these questions I'm getting from people that are around me that are asking me questions, and I'm just putting it into a video to help others. I'm sure if they've had questions, and most people have similar questions as well. So that's what I'm doing today, is to help answer some of those questions. So the next question is, how long will this recession last? It depends. No one knows exactly when the recession is going to end. No one knows exactly when one's going to begin. It's kind of a guessing game, but typically recessions usually last about a year or two. So if you remember back, if you were around in 2008, you know that it's the financial crisis of mortgages. So that one started actually in 2007, and it kind of peaked in 2008 and came back down in 2009. So it lasted about 2 years. This one, I believe we're already 2 months into a recession. They did change the definition for anyone who is watching, but that's another story, another video for another time. But yeah, so it's been 2 months so far. So it's safe to say that this recession could last, between a year or two. Like I said, we're already 2 months in, according to a decline in GDP. So yeah, it's safe to say between a year or two. That's not to say it can't be less than a year or more than a year. I know a couple recessions in the past have been about 8 months. But like I said, the average is between a year or two. That's to answer that question. Okay, so how is this going to affect things moving forward? How is it going to affect fuel prices, home prices, vehicle prices? How is it going to affect things moving forward? So I believe, personally, again, no one honestly knows a concrete answer. This is everyone's best guess. What I personally believe is, I believe we're going to basically find a new normal. I don't think, home prices are going to come back to where they were pre-COVID. We're basically going to find a new normal. Things in life, typically in the economy, not only in life, but things in the economy typically will gradually do this. They'll gradually increase. They're usually not going to be going in the opposite direction, at least not for long. So I would have to say, my little puppy Rottweiler's over here playing around. Anyways. So I would have to say we're basically just going to find a new normal, a new average, as for lack of a better word, a new average of all goods in general. Home prices, they really skyrocketed. They're coming a little bit back down, and I think they're going to find a happy medium between their high and their previous highs before all this COVID stuff. So it's kind of going to be in between. Kind of like the stock market. If you notice, if you trade stocks, if you notice, you'll have some real high peaks, and you had your really lows. But usually after that peak, it comes back down, and it finds a medium. It finds a happy ground between the lowest and the highest point. It kind of fluctuates and consolidates in that area. Well, that's what I feel like is going to happen with most products. With home prices, vehicle prices, food prices, everything's going to find a happy medium between the lowest price that it was, or the highest price before COVID, and the highest price after COVID. It's going to find a happy medium. At some point, everything's going to peak, and I believe it's going to find a happy medium, a new normal, quote unquote, new normal. So to kind of wrap it all up, things are going to be more expensive than they were before COVID. They're not going to be as expensive as they peaked, but they're not going to be as low as they were before COVID. It's going to be right in between, but you're still going to be paying more overall than you were paying, say a year and a half or 2 years ago. Okay, so what can I do to basically sustain myself during this time of recession? So there's multiple things you can do. I could think of a ton of things to do. Probably put out a whole video on things you can do. But I personally would suggest, start focusing on your spending. Groceries have gone up tremendously. If you've been buying name brand, start buying generic brand. Again, hopefully this doesn't last forever and you find a new medium, and then hopefully you'll find a way to make more income to be able to purchase those higher quality items again. But yes, to sustain yourself temporarily, you can start, buying generic stuff at the grocery stores. You can start selling stuff online. You can sell, things you don't use around the house. You can sell them on eBay, sell them on Amazon, especially if they're in good condition. You can definitely get some decent money for things like that. Start downsizing. If you have an expensive auto payment, you can start downsizing. Get a cheaper vehicle. That'll help you out probably a couple $100s, honestly. What else? Right now interest rates are high, but if you have a better interest if you have better credit at this point in time than you had, say, 5 years ago, and say your interest rate was at 11%, 12%, and I don't even know what interest rates are at now, but say I think they're like at what, 4%, something like that. If you can get a 4 or 5% versus an 11 or 12%, that's going to save you a lot of money right there on a mortgage or on a vehicle payment. So now if you don't want to sacrifice any items, you don't want to trade anything in, you don't want to downsize anything, you can always pick up some side hustles, pick up some overtime hours. Like I said, selling things online. If you are great at teaching, create an account with Teachable, Udemy, Skillshare, and start teaching things that you are good at. Others are more than happy to go and pay to view your content, especially if it's something that they can learn from. Also, if you have a lot of time on your hands, you can start creating products and selling them in your local area. I know a couple of people who are locally doing that now to create and generate more income. So again, just get creative with this. Try to find ways to increase your income during this time. And you never know, this could actually lead to a permanent business for you. So if you have a business, what you can do is you can basically focus on getting more foot traffic inside your store. If it's an online business, start focusing on getting more traffic to your website. So real quickly, basically how the recession has affected my Airbnb business hasn't been as dramatic as I would have thought. And I have a couple reasons why I believe it hasn't affected it the way it has affected some other Airbnb host or VRBO host. I do host on different platforms, so the reason I believe it hasn't been affected tremendously, we have seen some steady declines, but it hasn't been a huge, halt of everything. The reason I believe that is because we do have Airbnbs that are very unique. They're places that people will consider an experience. They're not a typical home, and they're not very typical of, everyday lives of most people. For instance, we have our Geodomes. Our Geodomes are really cool, really unique, probably our uniquest, if that's even a word, right? Probably our uniquest of all our Airbnbs. The other one is a lake house. The lake house is like a barn, lodge-looking place, but it's yet a house. I wouldn't call it a barndominium, but I wouldn't call it a lodge. It's kind of in between, like a house, lodge, barndominium style. But I'll leave that down below for anyone who's interested in checking out what I am talking about, so you can get a bigger picture of what I am talking about. For me, I'll give you an example of what I'm currently doing. I own the Airbnb stuff. I'm in the real estate space. What I'm doing is I'm basically trying to push more traffic to my Airbnbs via social media and via online ads. I'm focusing more on advertising, trying to get more traffic to my Airbnbs to help me sustain anything that comes up here in the recession. Again, also things have started to decline slightly in the Airbnb space because people are traveling less. So to combat that, I'm increasing my foot traffic, my digital foot traffic to my websites for my Airbnbs. So just to kind of wrap it all up, guys, again, this is a difficult time for everybody. Everybody is suffering in one way or another. So just hang in there, find ways to overcome it, and find ways to get better. Once we're through all this, we're going to find ourselves in a lot better position. Hopefully, if you planned accordingly and you were active and proactive during this whole time, you're going to find yourself in a better position when you come out of this. You're going to either be more knowledgeable, you're going to have more experience going through recession, or you're going to have a better income, and you're going to know what not to do and what to do. Hopefully, that's the outcome you're going to get once you go through this. But don't feel like you're alone. I know a lot of people are struggling, and I know a lot of people are turning to YouTube for advice on what to do. So just trying to help everyone else out. And then, again, I'll tell you guys what I'm doing personally, like I said. But without further ado, guys, take care. And like always, be careful, be good, take care, and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.